Continuing with the groups of animals, the next group is birds, or sometimes called aves. There's a few pictures of birds in here. Birds lie hard-shelled eggs that hatch in their nest. So we know that birds give us eggs, and those eggs are usually placed in nests that then are kept for a while until they hatch. Birds are vertebrates. Remember what the word vertebrate means from last video? It means that they have a backbone, that have wings, and they are covered with feathers. So something special about birds that they have wings and they also covered with feathers. The bird's skeleton is very light in weight. This helps them to fly. Of course, if the bird is very heavy, it's going to be very hard for it to fly. So therefore their skeleton is very light. Birds range in size from as small as your finger or as large as a human. So there is many birds come in many sizes. Next group is fish. There's a few types of fish. They are the largest group of vertebrates, so they are the largest group that have a backbone. They come in many sizes and shapes, as you can see here. It can be in different shapes, colors, sizes. Many fish are covered with scales that protect them. So fish have scales on their skin, which helps to protect them. They have fins that help them to steer and balance in the water. So fins very important for the fish's movement and staying balanced in water. Their body temperature vary in the water. So they don't have the best control of body temperature. So it changes depending on how hot or cold the water is. They breathe through gills. Opposite to mammals that breathe through lungs, fish breathe through gills. They like 3 lines at the side of its head that water gets in and out, and they can take in the oxygen that's in the water to breathe. So a video about a fish or maybe a bird. Have a look. The next group is reptiles. Many can be very careful. Reptiles can move at various speeds, so they can be really fast or they can be really slow. They lay their eggs on land. They have dry, scaly skin. So they also have scales like fish, but it's dry. They can include animals as large as a crocodile. Their body temperature varies with their environment. So like fish, they can't control how hot or cold they are just using their bodies. So usually their temperature is similar to how hot or cold outside feels. They live in hot, dry deserts and in warm, wet tropical rainforests. A lot of lizards would be in and snakes maybe in dry deserts, and some are in warm and wet tropicals. Also a few lizards. Very interesting and exciting video to watch. Highly recommend. The next group is amphibians, which include frogs, uh, toads, salamanders, and oxalot and axolotls. Their body temperature varies with their surroundings, so similar as the fish and the lizards, that if it's hot or cold outside, then the temperature will feel the same as outside. Amphibians hatch from eggs and they can live on land as an adult. Actually, the eggs are usually under the water, and then once the amphibian grows, they can live outside of the water. Young amphibians breathe through gills like fish. So when the amphibian is small, and because it's living in a water environment, they breathe through gills. Once an amphibian is adult, they breathe air from lungs. Some have smooth, moist skin, like the frogs. Actually, frogs need moist skin because they breathe the air through it. This video about the life cycle of amphibians. I recommend you watch this video about the oxalotls and see if you can answer these questions about it. So what is the interesting ability that oxalotls have, and why would scientists be interested in it? What is your opinion about scientists creating oxalotls with two heads or extra limbs? Do you think it is ethical or appropriate to do so? What makes axolotl an amphibian? Think back about what we just learned. Next group is arthropods, or some of us call it insects, but the better term is to use arthropods. So arthropods are a group of invertebrates with, so if we remember, invertebrates means animals that do not have a backbone, with joint legs and hard exoskeleton. They have this hard shell outside of their body that we call exoskeleton that protects the arthropod, that protects the organism. As it grows, it molts or sheds its old skin. Its old exoskeleton. So as arthropods grow, their exoskeleton becomes too small for them, so they have to throw it away and create a new one. Then it grows a new exoskeleton that allows its body to continue to grow. Arthropods include lobsters, insects, so that's why we can't use the word insects, because insects is one group in this arthropod group. Spiders, centipedes, and millipedes. The largest group of arthropods are insects, which are the only invertebrates that can fly. So when looking at all the animals that don't have a backbone, the only ones that can actually fly are the insects. So if it flies, you can call it an insect. The next group is annelids. They include earthworms and leeches. Their bodies are divided to many sections. You can see those small sections of many lines in these worms and leeches. Those are called segmented. So there is segments or sections that makes up the body of the organism. can be found in most wet environments. If a small body part is cut off, they can regenerate itself. So really cool if something bad happens and a part of the annelid is cut off, they can actually regrow themselves. This is a video about worms. Next group is molluscs. There's a few different types of molluscs. Molluscs have a hard shell, like this snail has their hard shell, a rough tongue, and a muscular foot. A snail is a mollusk with a single hard shell. A clam has two shells joined together by a hinge. Squids and octopus are also mollusks. Their hard shells are small, but they are inside of their bodies. So it's really interesting. If you look inside of the body of a squid or an octopus, you actually find a really hard structure inside of it. That's because that's where their hard shell is, inside of their body. Next group is the cnidarians, including jellyfishes, corals, and hydras. They live underwater, so they are aquatic. They live underwater. They have spear-like poisonous stings called nematocytes, which they use to catch prey or protect themselves with. So as you know, jellyfish can sting. That's because they have these spear-like poisonous stings called nematocytes. So you have to be really careful. They use it to catch, obviously, their food or protect themselves using those spear-like strings. They have two forms, a pulp, fixed position, so they can be just living still in one place, or they can be a medusa, which means they can freely swim. So a jellyfish like this is a medusa because they can go everywhere, whereas a fixed one like this one would be a pulp. Fixed, they can't move, or they can move, but they choose to stay in one place. There's a video about how the nematocytes look like, how they function. So let's try to look at those questions and see if we can remember what we just learned. Which animal group or phylum had a hard shell and a rough tongue? By the way, we can call animal groups that we just discussed, like the arthropods, the mammals, we can call they in the class of phylum. So there's the mammals phylum, there is the arthropods phylum, there's cnidarians phylum. So which of the animal groups has a hard shell and a rough tongue? Which animal group lays eggs and breathes through gills? Which animal help in improving the soil? Which animal group can breathe underwater and on the ground? Give 10 examples of animals that belong to the phylum Arthropods and 10 that belongs to the phylum Mammal. That should be really easy. Just think about what makes a mammal and what makes an arthropod.